This is a relaxing, soothing ASMR style reading of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition. Tonight I'll be reading from the criteria for general personality disorder. There are several different personality disorders in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. The following criteria applies to any personality disorder. These features are necessary before diagnosing any personality disorder. General personality disorder criteria. A. An enduring pattern of inner experience and behavior that deviates markedly from the expectations of the individual's culture. The pattern is manifested in two or more of the following areas. Cognition, i.e., ways of perceiving and interpreting self, other people, and events. 2. Affectivity, i.e., the range, intensity, lability, and appropriateness of emotional response. 3. Interpersonal functioning. 4. Impulse control. B. The enduring pattern is inflexible and pervasive across a broad range of personal and social situations. C. The enduring pattern leads to clinically significant distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. D. The pattern is stable and of long duration, and its onset can be traced back at least to adolescence or early adulthood. E. The enduring pattern is not better explained as a manifestation or consequence of another mental disorder. F. The enduring pattern is not attributable to the physiological effects of a substance, e.g., a drug of abuse, a medication, or another medical condition, e.g., head trauma. Diagnostic features. Personality traits are enduring patterns of perceiving, relating to, and thinking about the environment and oneself that are exhibited in a wide range of social and personal contexts. Only when personality traits are inflexible and maladaptive and cause significant functional impairment or subjective distress do they constitute personality disorders. The essential feature of a personality disorder is an enduring pattern of inner experience and behavior that deviates markedly from the expectations of the individual's culture and is manifested in at least two of the following areas: cognition, affectivity, interpersonal functioning, or other important areas of functioning. The pattern is stable and of long-lasting duration, and its onset can be traced back at least to adolescence or early adulthood. The pattern is not better explained as a manifestation or consequence of another mental disorder, and is not attributable to the physiological effects of a substance or another medical condition. Specific diagnostic criteria are also provided for each of the personality disorders included in this chapter. The diagnosis of personality disorders requires an evaluation of the individual's long-term patterns of functioning, and the particular personality features must be evident by early adulthood. The personality traits that define these disorders must also be distinguished from characteristics that emerge in response to specific situational stressors or more transient mental states, e.g., bipolar, depressive, anxiety disorders, substance intoxication. The clinician should assess the stability of personality traits over time and across different situations. Although a single interview with the individual is sometimes sufficient for making the diagnosis, it is often necessary to conduct more than one interview and to space these over time. Assessment can also be complicated by the fact that the characteristics that define a personality disorder may not be considered problematic by the individual, e.g., the traits are often egosyntonic. To help overcome this difficulty, supplementary information by other informants may be helpful. Development and course. The features of a personality disorder usually become recognizable during adolescence or early adult life. By definition, a personality disorder is an enduring pattern of thinking, feeling, and behaving that is relatively stable over time. Some types of personality disorder, notably antisocial and borderline personality disorders, tend to become less evident or to remit with age, whereas this appears to be less true for some other types, e.g., obsessive-compulsive and schizotypal personality disorders. Personality disorder categories may be applied with children or adolescents in those relatively unusual instances in which the individual's particular maladaptive personality traits appear to be pervasive, persistent, and unlikely to be limited to a particular developmental stage or other developmental disorder. It should be recognized that the traits of a personality disorder that appear in childhood will often not persist unchanged into adult life. For a personality disorder to be diagnosed in an individual younger than 18 years, the features must have been present for at least 1 year. The one exception to this is antisocial personality disorder, which cannot be diagnosed in individuals younger than age 18 years. Although by definition a personality disorder requires an onset no later than early adulthood, individuals may not come to clinical attention until relatively late in life. A personality disorder may be exacerbated following the loss of significant supporting persons, e.g., a spouse, or previously stabilizing social situations, e.g., a job. However, the development of a change in personality in middle adulthood or later life warrants a thorough evaluation to determine the possible presence of personality change due to another medical condition or an unrecognized substance use disorder. Culture-related diagnostic issues. Judgments about personality functioning must take into account the individual's ethnic, cultural, and social background. Personality disorders should not be confused with problems associated with acculturation following immigration, or with the expression of habits, customs, or religious and political values professed by the individual's culture of origin. It is useful for the clinician, especially when evaluating someone from a different background, to obtain additional information from informants who are familiar with the person's cultural background. Gender-related diagnostic issues. Certain personality disorders, e.g., antisocial personality disorder, are diagnosed more frequently in males. Others, e.g., borderline, histrionic, and dependent personality disorder, are diagnosed more frequently in females. Although these differences in prevalence probably reflect real gender differences in the presence of such patterns, clinicians must be cautious not to overdiagnose or underdiagnose certain personality disorders in females or in males because of social stereotypes about gender roles and behaviors. Differential diagnosis. Other mental disorders and personality traits. Many of the specific criteria for the personality disorders describe features, e.g., suspiciousness, dependency, insensitivity, that are also characteristic of episodes of other mental disorders. A personality disorder should be diagnosed only when the defining characteristics appeared before early adulthood, are typical of the individual's long-term functioning, and do not occur exclusively during an episode of another mental disorder. It may be particularly difficult and not particularly useful to distinguish personality disorders from persistent mental disorders, such as persistent depressive disorder, that have an early onset and an enduring relatively stable course. Some personality disorders may have a spectrum relationship to other mental disorders, e.g., schizotypal personality disorder with schizophrenia, avoidant personality disorder with social anxiety disorder, social phobia, based on phenomenological or biological similarities or familiar aggregation. Personality disorders must be distinguished from personality traits that do not reach the threshold for a personality disorder. Personality traits are diagnosed as a personality disorder only when they are inflexible, maladaptive, and persisting and cause significant functional impairment or subjective distress. Psychotic disorders. For the 3 personality disorders that may be related to the psychotic disorders, i.e. paranoid, schizoid, and schizotypal, there is an exclusion criterion stating that the pattern of behavior must not have occurred exclusively during the course of schizophrenia, a bipolar or depressive disorder with psychotic features, or another psychotic disorder. When an individual has a persistent mental disorder, e.g. schizophrenia, that was preceded by pre-existing personality disorder, the personality disorder should be recorded, followed by premorbid in parentheses. Anxiety and depressive disorders. The clinician must be cautious in diagnosing personality disorders during an episode of a depressive disorder or an anxiety disorder, because these conditions may have cross-sectional symptoms, features that mimic personality traits, and make it more difficult to evaluate retrospectively the individual's long-term patterns of functioning. Post-traumatic stress disorder. When personality changes emerge and persist after an individual has been exposed to extreme stress, a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder should be considered. Substance use disorders. When an individual has a substance use disorder, it is important not to make a personality disorder diagnosis based solely on behaviors that are consequences of substance intoxication or withdrawal, or that are associated with activities in the service of sustaining substance use, e.g., antisocial behavior. Personality change due to another medical condition. When enduring changes in personality arise as a result of the physiological effects of another medical condition, e.g., a brain tumor, a diagnosis of personality change due to another medical condition should be considered.